Hello, I'm DeDe, and in this 30-minute session, we'll explore movements which emphasize rotation in our shoulders, in our hips, and in our spine. Having greater rotation in those joints affords us better flexibility, which leads to better and more comfortable movement in general. Also, you'll find adding rotation to some of the poses helps us challenge our balance. Here's what you'll need. A yoga mat if you have access to one. If you're on carpet, you might be fine without a yoga mat. If you do have a mat though, turn it in the same orientation as mine. A small towel, and as always, some water for hydration. You can take off your shoes and socks if you'd like. Make sure you have plenty of room around you and your mat. And remember to always move at your own mindful pace. That means taking breaks when you need to, and skipping something or modifying something if it doesn't feel right for you. So we're going to start out all the way down on our back. So come on down and join me there. First, you're on your elbows, and then all the way back with your knees into your chest. Once you get there, separate your knees a little bit and just rock from side to side for a moment. As we're here, you don't have to turn your head to look at me the whole time. When you don't need to see me, then your head is back in the center, and that's just a little bit more comfortable for the neck. We're rocking our knees from side to side like this in a gentle way because we're trying to relax our lower back. And then we're going to do some deep breathing, so we're going to be still for a moment. So let's do that now. Take one foot down. Take the other foot down, separate your feet, turn your toes inward, and then let your knees lean against one another. So you decide how far apart your feet need to be and how far in you turn your toes. Make it feel good, relaxed, and comfortable. And as I said a moment ago, head in the center. Let's place our hands on our abdomen, elbows resting on the ground. And then you can close your eyes here if you're comfortable doing that. Breathing in and out through the nose and allowing our body to come to rest and be peaceful for a moment. So if your mind is busy right now, focus on your breathing. Bring your awareness and your attention to your breath. And see if that quiets down your mind. We have our hands on our abdomen just to remind us to start the inhale down low in the lungs. And you'll notice that your belly moves first when you breathe deeply like that. Breathing deeply also helps us be more peaceful and calm on the inside as well as on the outside. Let's do another couple of breaths here, just getting ourselves into the right internal environment for our yoga practice. It's a good place to be. Now, if your eyes are closed, you can open them, separate your knees. Your feet are still wide apart, but they're no longer turned in. Now they're straight and even. And then we'll take the arms either down like this, next to your sides with the palms up, or more out, straight out from your shoulders, if that's comfortable. Now inhale, and on the exhale, your knees go to one side and your head turns to the opposite side. And then when you're ready to inhale, come back to center, and we'll go right around to the other side for the exhale. Let's go back and forth. So most people love these windshield wipers. It feels good on the back, it feels good on the hips. It limbers up the neck. So we're starting out with some rotation right away. We're getting some internal and external rotation in our hips. We're getting some spinal rotation, and that includes the rotation that we're doing with our neck. Let's do one more in each direction. Last one. And then make your way back to the center. Now walk the feet in so they're next to one another and bring your arms down to your sides. Palms down for this. Let's extend one leg up toward the ceiling and then bring it down, and then the other leg presses up. Press up through your heel. Inhale and then exhale. Can you feel the limbering that's taking place in the back of your straight leg? Just get it as straight as you can. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. How about if we add the opposite arm now? Opposite arm reaching up. Is it a little easier to straighten your leg now that we've been doing this for a moment? You might find that to be true. Let's do one more on each side. And then come down. Bring your knees into your chest, one hand on each knee. Now let's circle one knee clockwise and one knee counterclockwise. So there's some rotation. Can you feel it in your hip joints? Let your arms provide the motion here so your hips can relax. And then reverse. Slow and easy. Can you feel what's happening in your lower back as you do this? As your knees go forward and away from you, your lower back might arch, but as your knees come in, your lower back might flatten a little bit, helping to limber and warm up through your lumbar spine. All right, come back to center. Now we circle around through our ankles in one direction. Big circles with the feet. And then the other direction as well. All right, let's turn all the way onto one side and then come back to center. Open your knees up and turn all the way to the other side. And then come back to the center. Open up the knees and then close the knees. Think of yourself as a book. So you open up a book somewhere in the middle and then you close the book. That's what we're doing here with our bodies. One more time. And then let's turn all the way over. This time we stay there when we press ourselves up with the arms. So now we'll come to a comfortable seated position. And if sitting on the floor doesn't feel that great to your hips or your knees or your ankles or any of those, fold your towel and put it underneath your hips and sit on your folded towel. We'll just be here for a moment. Comfortably folding your legs, whatever that looks like for you. Let's bring the hands together, and then we'll gently press from side to side. The top hand presses down, and the bottom hand and wrist receive the stretch. Can you do this without tensing your shoulders? We're limbering our wrists here because our hands do so much, and we don't really give back to our hands and wrists very much, do we? Let's release that now. Circle around. Feel what's happening in your forearms, your wrists. Let's do that with the fingers open now. See how that feels. Do you hear any pops or cracks happening through your wrists? Sometimes that happens. It's pretty normal. Now what about a little limbering through the fingers and thumbs? And then release that. Roll your shoulders back and down. Let's take the arms out to the sides. Now inhale, and then exhale and lean over to one side. Come back to center and inhale. And exhale over. As your arm goes up, your shoulder stays down. So if you're lifting your arm and your shoulder up like this, see if you can separate those two and lift the arm but not the shoulder. One more time. And one more time over here. And now we twist. So inhale, open up the arms. Exhale, look over your shoulder, take your arms across. And then inhale, center. And exhale around to the other side. When you twist, you should feel like it lends itself to your exhalation. Do you feel that? That's one of the ways that breathing plays a role in yoga. If you inhale when you come back to center and exhale as you twist, for example, you're able to go a little bit further with better support and comfort. One more time. And then we'll come back to the center. Roll your shoulders up and back and down a couple of times. And then we'll come to our hands and knees. So for that, you might want to have your folded towel under your knees for extra padding. I'm going to do that. You might want to do that too. Let's start here on our hands and knees. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Here's your option. Up on the fists, if that feels better. So whichever version you're choosing, just find neutral with your spine now. Shoulders away from ears, neck one long line with your spine. Stay right here for a moment. So what do you feel when you're doing neutral spine? Do you feel that your abdominals are helping to support your back? You should feel that. Do you feel that your back muscles and your chest muscles are helping to stabilize your shoulders? You should feel that too. You should also feel that your arms are playing a role in the supporting of your upper body weight. All those things are great. Try to recognize those, feel them. You can even emphasize them a little bit. All right, and then we'll walk the hands a little bit further forward than our shoulders. So you can be on your flat palms here if you want to. You can also be on your fists, but it's not quite the same angle. So see how it feels. Now inhale, pick up your right arm, and as you exhale, bow forward and twist, threading the needle. And then inhale back to center, and let's go the other way for the exhale. Other arm, twisting through. And keep going with that. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, reach it through. So it's a combination of twisting and forward bending, isn't it? Reach through. Let's do a few more of those. Your hips are still up. Your chest and your head are down. Do you have enough padding under your knees? Because if you don't, this isn't going to feel very good. Add some more padding if you need to. We have one more on each side. All right, and then from here, we'll sit all the way back into child's pose. So as usual, I'll give you a couple different variations. Knees wide, torso forward, stacking the fist and resting the forehead that way. Or sitting back further. See how that feels on your knees. Or not stacking your fists, maybe bringing your knees closer together and just resting your forehead down on the mat or on your stacked hands. See if one of those works for you. Now we're coming up, we're taking away the extra padding because we're moving next into downward facing dog. So extend your arms forward. We don't want the towel to be in your way. Come forward into plank pose, inhale, and then move into downward facing dog for the exhale. Now we stay here and we alternate pressing one heel at a time toward the ground. And stay right there. So in your downward facing dog, you should have a peak or a pinnacle of the pose, and that's your tailbone. So make sure that your tailbone is the highest point, your hands and your feet are obviously the lowest point. Feel free to keep bending your knees every time you get to downward facing dog, if that's what makes it fit better into your body. Instead of forcing your body to fit into a pose, we want to change the pose a little bit, if needed, to fit into your body. You're still breathing right now, you're still alternating your heels. All right, press both your heels down now. Whichever foot is furthest away from me, that's the foot that you're going to step forward. And now most people don't get all the way up with their foot, they get part of the way up. So if that's you, I want you to drop your other knee down and then step your foot further forward until your foot gets all the way up so your knee is over your ankle. Now we have the back knee down, so if you need to tuck the towel underneath your back knee here, feel free to do that. And then we'll rise up with our torso. So inhale, take your arms out, and on the exhale, hands together and twist towards your bent knee. And then we'll do that again. Inhale. Open up your chest, exhale, twist across. And two more. Your back foot is still tucked under, getting a little toe stretch going on there. And one more time. All right, and then we'll take our hands down. We'll lift the back knee and we'll step all the way back to downward facing dog. And then from there, you step your other foot forward. You take that first step, and then you add that second step with your back knee up or down. And then your back knee does come down. Keeping your back foot tucked under, let's do the same thing again here. Inhale, reach out, and then exhale, twist toward your bent knee. And again. Remember, the exhaling as we twist helps you to twist better, more comfortably, and further. One more time. And then both hands come down, pick up your back knee, step back into downward facing dog. So remember, your knees are bent here if they need to be, so you can get your tailbone up really high. Now step your foot that's furthest from me forward. If you can get there in one step, do it. Otherwise, two steps. Now we're staying on the tiptoes of the back foot this time. take your right hand to the mat so you can be on your fists, your palm, or your fingertips. Inhale, shoulders away from ears, back is straight. Then on the exhale, twist again towards your bent knee. This time your arm is a little straighter. Now if you need a bend in your elbow, of course you'll take a bend in your elbow here. But otherwise, arm is straighter, shoulders are still away from the ears. And one more time. All right, come back to center. Both hands are flat. Step back into downward facing dog. Sink your heels downward. Straight knees or bent knees, you do the one that works best for you. Now the other foot steps forward. Get all the way up. Reposition your shoulders, your spine. Now be on your left fist or fingertips or palm. Inhale, exhale, turn. Is your elbow bent or is it straight? Either way. Make your neck long out of your shoulders. 2 more. Palms are flat, stepping back into downward facing dog. Now step your foot furthest away from me, forward, and then we're flattening out the back foot and we're rising up. So here we are. Warrior 2. Back foot is flat, back foot is turned in a little bit, back leg is straight. This front knee is bent, if possible, to 90 degrees, if you can get there. Your knee doesn't go beyond your ankle. Level out your pelvis. Pull your front ribs and your tailbone in. And then here's the arms. Now let's start to circle them. Can you feel how that changes things? So instead of holding still, when we do the arm circles, it challenges our balance a little bit. Can you make the circles bigger? Can you keep your pelvis level? Can you keep bending your front knee? All right, and then arms come down. Now to get to the other side, turn this foot in and this foot turns out. And then we'll sink down with our level pelvis. Try not to let your knee collapse inward. Keep it out over the ankle. Push your back heel away from you. This one is bent. This one is straight. And here we go. Now we're circling forward this time. So up and forward. And around. Sinking down into your front knee, but keeping it over the ankle. So just creating that little bit of disturbance with the arm motion switches on our balancing abilities. And then the arms come down. All right, let's turn both sets of toes out and we'll sink down, pushing the knees wide. Take your hands to your hips. Now inhale, straighten, sweep your arms up. And then exhale, sit your hips back, bend, and sweep your arms down. And do that again. The back stays straight. That straight spine position is called neutral. Couple more. If it doesn't throw you off balance, you can look up. And then you can look down. Otherwise, just keep looking forward. All right, let's make our way all the way down now. So bring your feet in a little bit closer. Come on down to the floor. Now you might want to fold your towel and use it as a pillow underneath your head. Or you might not need to worry about that and just set it off to the side if you don't need it. Now's a great time also to get your drink of water to hydrate yourself. Let's lie all the way down. And just like we did at the very beginning, bring your knees into your chest, separate your knees a little bit, and rock from side to side. So that was a flurry of activity in our bodies. Coming back to the floor now, maybe you could notice that you were working quite hard, even though we were holding relatively still. It's one of the wonderful things about yoga. It challenges us without us having to really go anywhere or do too much movement. Let's come back to the center. Now back to the knee circles, where we circled around, one clockwise and one counterclockwise. And then reverse. Are you still doing your deep breathing through your nose? All right, now another twist. This time we straighten out the left leg and we place the right foot against the left inner thigh. Take your right arm out to the side and draw your right knee across. Stay here. If it's more comfortable for your right shoulder, take your right arm further down at your side. Otherwise, have it straight out from your shoulder if you're able. Now notice that we're turning our pelvis. So the navel is facing to the side, but we're keeping our right shoulder down. So that's how we know we're in a twist. If your shoulder starts to turn with you, then you actually release some of the twists. So keep your shoulder anchored. And then let's help our knee back to the center. And we'll switch. Right leg is straight, left leg is bent. And we come across. Do you feel the stretch in your chest and the front of your shoulder as you do this? The front of your left shoulder and your left side chest? I sure do. Let's come back to the center. Now we'll elevate our legs because we did make them work when we were doing those standing poses. So let's let them recover a little bit. So here's how we do that. Either we place the hands underneath the hips with the palms down and we lift the legs up that way, or we do it without the hands underneath the hips. See which one feels better for you. Keep as much bend in your knees as you need to, and that includes bending them completely if that's better for you. Do try to move in the direction of straightness through your knees. And then find this completely balanced and weightless position for your legs. Mine is right about here. Yours will probably be somewhere similar. Now, if you don't have your hands under your hips, try this. Both arms out, palms up, or if you can, bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Now we have to keep the backs of the hands on the floor, so try not to be here and just kind of dangling in space. Straighten your arms out if you can't get the backs of your hands down. And then your head is in the center. Now we'll take the arms down to the sides and then we'll bend one knee. If your hands are under your hips, you can take them out from under your hips as soon as both of your feet come down. And then let's turn over on our side and we'll sit all the way up. Just for a moment, just sitting comfortably, sitting up tall and neutral. Shoulders roll back and down. All right, so how do you feel now? Rotation is baked into so many of our everyday life tasks. When you're driving, when you're reaching for something, when you're getting dressed, we're always rotating our arm, our torso, and our hip joints. So keeping that rotation limber and supple is important. Thank you for joining me today, but also thank yourself for being here and treating yourself to some self-care. And I'll see you next time.